Hi, welcome to DNK's Legacy Productions. It's been a while, but I'm going to try to start doing more videos more often and see how it goes. It's been actually months since I did a video last, and that doesn't mean that things haven't been moving along with the video production side of the company. One of the reasons why I'm making this video is I'm experimenting with some stuff, and specifically NDI, and I decided to go ahead and make a video while I was doing that. And before I get into it, let's play the intro. This video is sponsored by DNKS Legacy Productions. Alright, I'm back. And the first thing, I think the last video I actually did was a video on updates that I did to my studio at the church. And actually, we have an not a production booth, but we turned the old choir loft into a production booth. We have all the audio, video, all the equipment is up in the old choir loft, and it works out really good. We have two stations that can control everything, my director station, and then we have another station where the main camera operator, ATEM operator, both stations pretty much are redundant. Um, it's very helpful, especially when I'm training new people to work in the video ministry, to help them when they like miss a transition or something like that, or they miss a shot that I want them to get. I can make sure that shot goes on time if they're not paying attention. Well, it'll still be a little bit delayed, but it won't be as bad as losing the shot altogether. So now I'm going to give you a little tour of my new studio setup and let you see some of the upgrades I've done with my personal stuff, which allows me to um, do more shoots more efficiently, and the quality was good already, but it just makes my life a lot easier, and just makes my life easier. So here's a little bit look at what we have here today, and I'm getting ready to go. Let's see, let's show number 2. Alright, that is my new camera rig. And we'll get back to that in a minute. I'm mic'd up today so that I can walk around. And that's the new camera rig. Let's change this monitor. This is all pretty much the same. That monitor, that the ATEM has pretty much been in that same spot for a while. This TV, this monitor is new. I moved the soundboard over so I could put a laptop in here so I can run things in the background, running videos and stuff like that. It can connect through NDI to my vMix, which you if you've been on the channel before, you know I use a combination of, actually I have it up on this monitor. I use a combination of vMix, which you can see on this monitor, and ATEM. This is the ATEM Mini Extreme. It's not the ISO version, it's just the ATEM Mini Extreme, but it does allow me to do a lot more stuff that I couldn't do with the old setup, the ATEM Mini Pro, because it has more outputs, more inputs, and it also has 2 USB 3 outputs, so that way I can actually output to one of the HDMI, not HDMI, one of the USB 3 outputs goes to vMix, and the other one goes to a recording. I don't actually have this video recording, but I can have it recorded the raw footage in a backup. But it allows me the USB-C. USB, it's USB 3, but it's also USB-C. It has two. The ATEM has 2 USB-C outputs, and one I can use to record the video stream, the program stream, and one is using to put the output to the mixer. And of course I have my I still use the same laptop, only I added a larger monitor so I can get a better look at vMix, and I can, as you see, it's also right beside my camera, so I don't have to look down. I can look to out of the corner of my eye with it up high like this. I can actually put it even closer if I had to, and but I don't need to right now. And I still use the X keys for controlling my shots. Let's see, what would be a good shot of, okay, let's go to, let's go to 1 and 2. There we go. So you can see basically the shot I was just showing, and you can see me. I'm back into that main camera's shot, and I can do all the switching from here, and I'm going back to 2 because that's the camera I want it on right now. And what I'm also going to do is give you a shot of this camera, which is one of my phones. This is an iPhone, and I'm going to use that to take a shot, give you a close-up view of my 2 camera rigs and how I have them rigged up. And this is a shot of my flat panel display. This is not a computer display. This is just a flat panel display like they have in the movie theaters with our logo, and it lights up so that when we're at a venue behind the scenes, we can advertise, because we need to let people know who's streaming and doing the work behind the scenes, because we don't get to walk around and talk to people while it's going on. So this allows people to know who's running the production. And that's pretty much it. Oh no, I'll use the other camera for that. And sorry for walking in front of you, but I am now getting ready to switch to the iPhone. And this is a nice close-up shot of my camera rig, and I just have it rigged out. So I have a V-mount battery, and my V-mount battery, the only cord, well actually since I have it in the studio, I have it plugged in, but I can take this cord out so that when I'm, that's just a charging cord and gives it power. You can keep it you can keep it plugged in while you're in the studio, and it doesn't run the battery down and keep the battery fully charged. But this allows me to be able to have one wire going to my rig, was just the SDI wire, because everything is powered around that V-mount battery, and it gives me more than enough power to run for extended periods of time. So if there's not if there's power considerations at the venue, we have this camera and this camera rig, which is basically the same thing. It allows me, with the V-mount battery, to be to not have to worry about power. And these rigs also can be turned into shoulder rigs. Add the extension pad with the shoulder rig, the shoulder pad, and it has the handles. Actually, I'm going to get better handles for it, but they do for right now, because I actually don't even really use it for a shoulder rig that often. Usually if I have shots to move around, I use this rig right here that's in my hand that I'm using now to show this. And then there is the new setup, which is eventually going to take over in my studio. This one has the ATEM Mini Extreme ISO SDI. It has all SDI inputs, no HDMI inputs or outputs, which is kind of a pain, because in order for me to, here's my audio, all of my SDI outputs. I do not have this one populated. These are two outputs. These four are outputs, these 8 are inputs, and that's the audio. One is for the headphones and 2 input jacks. These are the 2. Wait a minute, my alarm is going on. These are the 2 USB-C outputs. One on here is going to the vMix computer, just like on the other system, and this is the Ethernet connection. So everything is networked. I can actually even control this system from my other desk with another I'll show you later. And this is the other one that's the other USB-C, which goes down and is tied into this panel right here on the front. That has the USB-C that comes out to here for recording. This is in my way. This is the 2 sounds in, and this I have USB, not USB, but HDMI to SDI converters. I have them down here. You can see I have 4 of them, because 2 of them are for inputs, so that I can have HDMI inputs here. This runs down to the converters. These 2 run down to the converters and then back up to the back of the ATEM. And then I also have 2 that are outputs, because these monitors are HDMI monitors. So I have to have 2 to convert, because the output signal on on there. They're all SDI. Everything on the SDI ATEM is SDI. So I had to convert two of those to my monitors. One I'm using for program out. The other one, actually, one is for the multi-view and two are for program out. I have and all of those are on the back of the machine. I don't have anything turned on right now. The switch, I have a power supply down there. I can turn on things separately. And the computer with the door open is the vMix computer with it's a gaming computer that I built. It's with a rack case. And then the other computer, you can't quite make out, there's another small Dell computer in there for running graphics, and I can play recordings, and I can take some of the stress off of the vMix computer with if people want to, for whatever I need to play. If I need to play videos, I need to put up presentations or anything like that, I can use that with that. I can do all of that with that computer, so that it doesn't have to stress off the vMix computer. I try to do everything. One of the reasons why I got the mixer, the ATEM, and use it with the vMix instead of using the vMix alone is because the ATEM is very good at switching the video. I want to go to camera 1, the ATEM, and then I need to, let's do cut. You can tell I haven't been down here for a while because the switching is a little, not harder, but it's not as intuitive. It's a little, I haven't done it in a while, so it's muscle memory. I have to get it back. But as I was saying, the ATEM is very good at switching the video. It also takes some of the stress off of the computer. When I was putting capture cards, individual capture cards into the computer, I had problems like the video would freeze up. You have to unhook the capture card and hook it back up. But it handled 2 capture cards fine. So I actually still have my capture cards. And if I just wanted to do a simple interview, I can use just vMix and my capture cards, and I would be fine. But once we got up to using 3 cameras, it became unreliable. And it wasn't the capture cards, because it was a different one all the time. One of the capture cards would inevitably freeze up. We'd have to unplug it and plug it back in. There's other ways to do it, but I was using laptops, so I didn't have one of the Blackmagic internal cards. But then again, that also puts more stress on the computer. Coming from older laptops and non-gaming laptops, I find that depending on the computer to do everything, on one computer to do everything, is it's basically just not a good idea. It's not as reliable as having the computer that runs vMix, because it's much better at handling graphics. It's much easier to handle graphics, like putting my overlays up. This can be done with the ATEM, but it's not as easy to do. And see that right now I have a spinning logo up. That's much easier to do, and actually you really can't do that with the ATEM. So I can do things much easier with the vMix as far as graphics. Here's this other one with the I forget what you call it, the part where it's scrolling, the ticker. You can't really do that with vMix. At that, I mean, actually, I'm doing this with vMix. You really can't do that with the ATEM. You can, but it's much more difficult. It's very easy to make these graphics and do all the things that these graphics are doing right now. In fact, I have two scrolling logos. I don't need two scrolling logos, so I'll turn one off. But I have two scrolling logos. I have a ticker running. I have the actual time of day on there. I have the name of the company. It's just a lot harder to do this with the ATEM, the graphic package that you, and this comes with the vMix. So I'm not advertising for vMix. I'm not advertising for Blackmagic. They're both very good products. I can do a whole lot with each product by themselves, but I find they complement each other and make my workflow, not necessarily yours, but my workflow is better using both. It just makes my life a lot easier. It makes it easier to make the graphics and get them in, bring the picture in, have the cameras hooked into the ATEM with SDI cables, which you can run much longer. I know they do have HDMI, fiber HDMI nowadays, but you can still kick those cords out a lot easier. They're not as robust. The SDI cables are just more reliable at distance than the HDMI cables. Both well, I was going to say both physically and mentally, but it's just physically they're just a lot better. So that's what I use. And oh, that's what I wanted to show. Let's see. Alright, and I don't want central control. Alright. Oh, wait a minute. I'm going to do something real quick here. Gotta move this back over here. And what you're looking at is how I am able to, oh no, you're not looking at it yet. Let's change. What you're looking at now is how I'm able to control the setup that I showed you that's on the rack system. And actually that system, even though it's on a rack, it is actually mobile too, because everything is in the rack. The rack is on wheels, and if I had to, I could take that out to a venue too. I own a truck that we can load everything into and take it to a venue. But as you saw, my let's see, where do I have that shot here? Let's use camera 3. And that is my mobile studio in a box. I put my ATEM, that's the ATEM Mini Extreme, and I hooked the monitor up to it. I have all the inputs are going into the back of it. I have another video where I showed where all the inputs are on this. I'm not going to move it right now, but all the inputs are going into the back of that, and that is how I do most of my on-site jobs. If I have a big enough venue job at a venue that is big enough to warrant taking the other system out, then I will do that. Otherwise, I'm not gonna. I have this system, which is much more portable and much easier to move around. So we use this system more. So now we're back to how I'm able to control that system without how I can control both of these systems. This is, yeah, let's go now. This is the Central Control Pro. Look it up on Google it. It is what I use. See right here, this is the ATEM Mini Extreme. This is the ATEM Mini. This is the ATEM Extreme SDI. I don't have that on right now because I'm not controlling it. This is the X Keys 60, which is on because I'm using that to control the ATEM Mini. I have some other things hooked up in here that are not being used. All of this stuff is turned off because it's not being used right now. It's not anything I need to use right now, but I used to use, I forget the name of the software I used to use to control, to use my X keys so that I can punch everything with I forget the name of the software, but I used to use a different software to control this, but I don't remember the name of it, which is really not important because it's not something you should go out and get because there's no more support for it. It is much harder to set up. This central control, once you get the hang of it, it's extremely easy to set up. It does pretty much everything the other software does. The only gripe I have with it, so to speak, is that it is not their instructions. I really couldn't even find an instruction manual. Maybe it's just because I couldn't find it. But the instructions aren't that great. They have a couple of videos on how to do stuff, but it's very intuitive. So even with the lack of instruction, it's not that hard to figure out how to use it and use it well. I have everything. Let me see. Maybe I'll give you a close-up shot. Let's go. That's my X keys. I was able to set everything up exactly the same way it was before without having to change any of the keys. There's a couple of blank spots on there, but one of them always was blank. The other two is because I was planning on, or I did change what they do, and I just haven't made made the graphic for it to put on the key. So yeah, the new software, Central Control, is easy to learn. This one here is the one that runs vMix, and you can see the keys and what they say. These are all the vMix controls. So, but I'm going to end this. This was just a kind of an update video to let you know things are still moving ahead, even though I haven't been on YouTube in a while, but still doing the video thing. And in fact, one of the reasons why I'm messing around with this camera is because of oh, got me a little thrown off because I was looking at this camera. Anyway, one of the reasons why I was looking at this is because we have we're getting ready to do a shoot at where I basically need a wireless camera. I know about Hollyland and Axum, but I usually don't need a wireless camera. And one of the advantages of doing, I don't use a wireless camera enough to justify spending the money on either one of those systems right now. Um, but I and one of the advantages of using vMix with the ATEM is that vMix will operate with this, and I can use my phone as a remote camera, a wireless camera, and I've done some testing with the latency, and all of that is pretty good. So it seems like it's going to work out. I tested it. I live in well, not a 3-story house. It's actually a 2-story house, but I have a basement, which is where my studio is, and I walked from the bottom, from the well, I was testing it on, I have a system upstairs in my office. I was testing it on that system all the way up on the 3rd floor from the basement, and I came all the way down to the basement, and the video, it it worked great. So, and one of the problems, the only problem left, I think I'm going to have to buy a access point, because one of the things we have to do is we're going to shoot video from outside coming into the building because of a ceremony that they're having, and then we're going to have a split screen of the outside and the inside, but the outside camera really can't be a wired camera. So I had to figure out a way to do that. Well, I didn't have to figure out a way to do it, but I knew how to do it. But I didn't want to pay for the wireless system for just one event, which is gonna last maybe an hour, versus this. Plus, the building that we're going to be in, it's an old stone church, and we have problems with wireless stuff in there as it is. Um, so, depending on where you are, you can't get the signal. But using NDI, what I plan to do is wire an access point outside, run a wire with an access point outside for that day, so we can have good signal outside and inside, and we won't have to worry about losing that losing the signal from the camera, because, and that's actually a cheaper solution than the either the Axum or the Hollyland, because the Axum is better with penetrating walls than the Hollyland. The Hollyland, I've done research on YouTube, and the Hollyland seems that you have to have a good line of sight. The Axum does better without line of sight, and that's basically because they combine a 2.4 gigahertz and a 5 gigahertz signal. So, in which this is more networking than actual camera stuff. But the 2.4 gigahertz signal can go through walls a lot easier than the 5 gigahertz signal, which is basically probably what Hollyland's. They don't. I forgot what you call it, but they don't combine the two signals together so that they can have the distance and the strength of one and the speed of the other, so that you have a consistent stream no matter what the conditions. So it would probably work, but this solution actually is something that we already have the access points, and it's something that can work out in the future without worrying about. I already have the phone, I already have the access points, and it's something we can do for the future when we have events outside. So this works out a little bit better, and we don't have to move all our equipment because actually it's all bolted down basically, and just run some access points, and we have a signal going to the ATEM without having to worry about, because, well, we have a signal going to vMix. It doesn't have to go to the ATEM. We keep all of our present cameras in place. We have the cable system to run that one camera down on the floor. We've already been doing that. We have a 200-foot cable. So we have one camera for the inside. We have another camera for the outside, so we can see both parts of the what's going on, and it should work out good. I'll put some video of that on after we do it, which is not until the end of the month, but I'll probably record some behind the scenes stuff of that, so that in fact we'll probably do some test recordings and all that kind of stuff, and yeah, we'll get it done. This way is and actually my phone has been on for quite a while running this, as long as this video has been going, if not more. Now, let's see what my battery life is like. I think I gotta turn this. I might have to turn this off. No, I don't have to turn it on. Yeah, it eats up battery pretty good, but I have a mount up here so where I can actually mount a battery, and I have a battery that I can mount, and I have a backup battery. So actually it's not even going to run that long, but we still have the ability to put this and I have it on this arm. We have the ability to put a backup battery on here, and we should be good to go. All right, that's enough. Hope to see you more often, and if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe. It helps out the channel, and it helps us grow, and we need to grow. So give us a like and subscribe, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye.